So we're just going to do it. So we're going to do this one, which says bounce back from challenges, create soft landings. And we're going to review this pretty fast. There's a couple's guide to soft landings in there.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just dove into this whole self-care piece, which is taking care of us and putting ourselves in a good place. Soft landings are really similar. They kind of build on this idea. The self-care is separate, but the soft landings is, how's a couple going to come together to care for that relationship?
Yeah. And so we really kind of developed this idea off of, there was a period of time where we were going through something extremely difficult. And when I would talk to my dad on the phone, he kept telling me, see, we'll have to see if I can do this without crying this time. I cry a lot when I tell this story.
Well, and by difficult, we were moving from San Diego to Minnesota with 4 kids. You were flying with 2 little ones. I was driving the truck, and your dad was following behind in a car. And
we had been, as a family, really kind of in an extraordinarily difficult place for about a year. So we were coming to kind of the close of a very long, very difficult season as a family. And we had this huge move happening, and it was a lot. It was a lot, and our kids were very young. So that was a lot. And so I would be on the phone with my dad, and he just kept saying, we were purchasing a home in a different state that we had never seen because we're crazy. And they were preparing this place for us. And he kept saying, you can do this. You can do this for, however long we need to do it. Because when you come here, we have a soft place to land. We are creating a soft place to land. And I clung to that. I can do anything for a short period of time if I know I have a soft place to land when it's over, right? And so that's really what that idea is. So maybe you're going through a really difficult season right now. A lot of us are. And so creating those, like, what is it that is coming that I know I just need to make it to here, and then I have a soft place to land. I get to step out of this for a minute. And maybe when I come back, that hard thing isn't over. For us, that was kind of an endpoint for our, not an endpoint, but the most difficult part of that season was coming to a close when we got here. And so we knew that too. However, there have been other periods of time where the hard thing isn't going to be over, but I get to step out of it and have this soft place to take care of myself, to take care of my family, to just let that stay over there so that I can have this time to just be grounded and present, take care of myself, those kind of things. So building in those times during times of stress, and whenever possible, building those together, right? Especially if you're going through a time that is, where there's tension in the relationship, and there's things where there's feels like there's discord, that we need to build it in those times to connect together. So whether that's a quick date night, or that's we're getting away for the weekend, like we just need, we need to get away and reconnect, whatever that looks like for you guys.
Yeah. And you'll find some ideas like the date nights on the bottom half of the sheet. And I love that story. I love that soft place to land. I kind of get choked up every time you say it. But that's our language and our metaphor. And feel free to use that, borrow that, or create your own. But 3 things to do during soft landings. One are love bank fillers, which really is any kind of connecting action that's going to fill you up. Because remember, John Gottman says happy couples, stable couples have that 5 positive to every negative interaction ratio. And so a lot of times before soft landings, man, you're in that stress mode. And you're kind of racking up those negative interactions and building up that love bank deposit debt. And I was like, okay, now we're going to pay off that debt. We're going to fill up that love bank again and again. Number 2 is connectication, which is a word we borrowed from our friends Gil and Brenda Stewart. I call Gil the Mr. Miyagi of wordsmithing, because I love how he took communication and connection and put them together. And in my mind, that's just any type of talk or interaction that draws you closer together. And guys love this. We love board games, walking together, just doing life side by side. And then the next one's that deeper level, that intimacy, or into me-see, which a lot of times girls love this, right? I read something, guys do conversation and life side by side. Girls tend to do them face to face, but we really need both. Intimacy is really getting to know the other person's inner world. I'm trying to peer into their heart. And so it's that deeper conversation. And so all three of those are important to have during those soft landings. It's really about enjoying one another's presence.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So here's the different ideas. And I would say 3 different types of soft landings, right?
Yep. So daily ones, so having that morning coffee, like having a little bit of time together in the morning before you start your day, us time after the kids are in bed. What is it that you do to connect? Is it, for us, it is watching The Office and just kind of laughing together. I can watch that like over and over and over again. It's still funny. I don't know. But finding your thing that's kind of yours. When during the nicer season for us too, it might be going out and sitting by the fire and just kind of having a little snack or something out there, and spending that time just kind of talking about our day. Or we really, for us, soft landings often will be mentally removing from, okay, well, there's kind of these hard things going on, but let's dream about what we want to do next. Like, if we could do this, wouldn't that be? And so kind of spending that time dreaming together and like, hey, what are some goals that we want to work on? Or so kind of pulling yourself out of that present moment, hard stuff, and into like, hey, that future oriented, here's where we want to go. Here's what we want to work towards, those kind of things. And having couples devotionals, conversation starters. There can be a lot of daily soft landings. So these are kind of a couple of examples and things that we have used that are helpful. So you could drop in the chat too, like what are some other daily soft landings that you're already doing or that you want to start doing with your spouse?
Yeah, I love that. So if you have a soft landing, we love getting ideas from other people. So drop your ideas in the chat. I'm going to say Jenny's idea of us time after the kids go to bed. That was genius. Like, you started that early in our relationship. And when there's disagreements, when there's frustrations, like, it's hard to fight after bedtime because I'm like, okay, what do I do? And both of us are there. We're like, okay, what do we do now? Like, we never go to separate rooms of the house and stay in. It just feels weird.
It's a funny connection that we kind of accidentally have this routine that we got into very early on in our marriage. And the funny thing is that now when there is disconnect, we both kind of don't know what to do at the end of the day because it's such an ingrained habit for us to connect at the end of the day. And so it kind of ends up naturally resolving because we will reconnect then. And so building in those kind of habits.
Yeah. And then bigger soft landings, your weekly or monthly ones, the regular date night. I'd say every relationship talk or seminar has that in there. So this was kind of our mandatory, yes, thank you, plug for a weekly date night, walking together, game nights, and then those big ones. I read an article that I thought was genius about doing quarterly planning meetings for your relationship, almost like you would for your business. I thought, that's great. Vision boarding, we do that every year where we say, hey, what are our dreams? What are our goals? And we're going to cut out pictures and just put them up on the wall. And first, I wasn't a big believer in that. I thought, oh, that's kind of woo-woo, positive pop psychology sort of stuff. And then I'm like, oh, but it's amazing how often we hit those. And so, I'm a huge believer that somehow when we keep our goals in front of us, it just reminds us to keep moving towards them, and to choose those goals together is huge.
Yeah, and to have a direction as a couple or a family is a really powerful thing, to know that this is the direction that we're moving in together. So whatever those kind of goals or endpoint kind of things are for you, having those out, having them visual, staying kind of grounded. This is where we're moving together, because one of our tendency is when we get in the middle of the hard things to kind of our focus kind of narrows in on that hard thing. And so it's really important to kind of keep that wider view, that future focus. And so we do that very literally. We have a vision board. It's actually sitting right in front of us. We can see it all the time when we're working. And so having those visual reminders to keep us grounded in what it is that we're trying to accomplish together and as a family.
Love that. All right, so wrapping it all up, during those stressful times, every couple just needs to know they've got a soft place to land.